Guess what experiment we did today? So some of you guys have requested this experiment. I tried it and I couldn't get it to work, so I thought it might be fake. But my curiosity got the best of me, and I did a little bit more research and tried it a couple more times, and guess what? I got it to work, and you can too. You can make this with chemicals found around the home, but if you're going to do this experiment, I highly recommend that you just buy the chemical. It's sodium acetate trihydrate, and you can get it really cheap from Amazon, and it'll make your life so much easier. It'll save you a lot of time than doing it the old-fashioned way. But if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, you just have 3 tablespoons of baking soda and boil it in 1 liter of 5% white vinegar. And you would boil it until all the water is out, and then when the crusty film starts forming around the side, that's when you'll take it off. Now you want to save that crusty film for later. Now you put it in an ice bath until it cools. And then you'll take some of that crusty film, put it on your hand, and dip your hand right in, and watch the reaction. And if you just can't get it to work, you can watch this video by NurdRage. He gives you some tips and tricks to try to get it to work. And even he suggests just buying this stuff because it's a lot easier. Now if you're doing this the easy way with the sodium acetate trihydrate that you bought, you just do half a cup of the solid, the sodium acetate trihydrate, in 10 milliliters of water. And then you boil it down until it's all liquid, and then you'll cool it in the ice bath. Now you won't use all of the sodium acetate trihydrate, so you'll use some of that solid, put it on your hand, and dip your hand in and watch the reaction. The chemicals that we're using today are safe, and when you put your hand in, you'll notice that it's warm, but it's not too hot for your hand. It's more just warm like a warm bath. So if it's warm, how does it make ice? How can ice be warm? It goes against everything we've ever learned in science. I mean, freezing literally means turning to solid because of extreme cold. So if it's freezing into ice, how is it hot? It's actually really simple. So this actually isn't ice at all. It's not cold and it's not freezing into ice. You see, sometimes when you mix 2 chemicals together, even when they're both liquids, you mix them together and they make a reaction that creates a solid. And the solid that is created is known as the precipitate. Do you remember our DNA experiment? We extracted our own DNA. Now naturally DNA dissolves in water, so you can't see it. But when we put in the alcohol, it pulled that DNA out of the water, making that solid DNA that we could see. And the DNA in that experiment is the precipitate. Now in this hot ice experiment, we melted down the baking soda and vinegar to make sodium acetate trihydrate. Or you just liquefied the sodium acetate trihydrate by heating it up. And instead of using another liquid to draw out the solid, you're actually using a little bit of this solid acetate trihydrate to pull out the rest of that solid. This is similar to our rock candy experiment. Do you remember that? We dissolved a ton of sugar in water, more than can really be dissolved, but he made that possible. So we dissolved way too much sugar in the water. And then we put a little bit of sugar on our stick and let it sit for a couple days. And that pulled out all of that extra sugar out of the water. And then you get your rock candy on the stick with some sugar water left in the cup. Now, since the sodium acetate trihydrate is the only liquid in this entire jar, the entire liquid is going to turn into solid. It's going to be pulled out and there's not going to be any liquid left. The solid sodium acetate trihydrate, the solid chemical that is on your hand, that's what's actually pulling out that solid. It doesn't actually have to be your hand. Now if you want to just take a solid piece of the chemical and drop it into the jar, that would work too. But your hand just looks a little cooler. So if you just stick your hand in there, it's not going to do anything. Because this isn't super cooled like our freezing water experiment. Because remember, this isn't really ice. It's not really freezing. It's just pulling the solid out. It's kind of like a magic trick, but it's real science. So that solid piece of the chemical is pulling the solid out of the liquid. And again, since it's the only liquid that's there, it's all going to be pulled out and there'll be no liquid left. And this reaction is warm because it creates energy, and that energy is released as heat, making the chemical warm. So if you're going to do this at home, I really suggest just getting the chemical yourself, boiling it down, cooling, and it makes it a lot easier to do. But if you want to do it the old-fashioned way with the baking soda and vinegar, just know that this is going to take a lot of time and a lot of patience and probably a lot of baking soda and vinegar. And the vinegar really stinks up your house when you boil it down. But the chemical itself, the sodium acetate trihydrate, when you boil it, there's no smell. So again, just know this is going to take a lot of time and patience. But I knew that you guys wanted this, and honestly, I was really curious myself. So I took the extra time to research and try it again, and yes, I did finally get it to work. And anything great in life is going to be worth working for. And I don't want to say worth waiting for because ain't nobody got time for that. Don't wait for an amazing opportunity to come to you. Go out there and get it. Go out there and work for it. And know that anything that's actually worth having is going to be worth working for. And the more time and energy you're going to have to put into it, the more grand it will be. It will be worth it. So go out there, work hard so you can relax hard or play hard or whatever. And thank you so much for watching. You guys have seriously been amazing, and keep those requests coming. I'm finally getting them done, so I'm really happy with it, and I hope you guys are too. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Remember, questions don't make you look dumb, they make you look smart because it shows that you understand enough to ask questions and be interested in learning more. And until next time, bye!